Hi everyone. I've had a new bead mould arrive. This is for the European charm bead style. So as you can see, it's got quite a big spike inside it to make the big hole. And we've got with this little kit some of these little end pieces, little cores. Now I'll show you the sort of thing we're going to have a go at making over the period of the next few videos. I've got a load of European charm beads here. As you can see, they're like the sort of Pandora style or troll beads. There's a few proper posh brands that obviously I'm not going to pretend to try and emulate here, but we'll do our own thing. We'll see how we get on. These are all just fairly cheap ones that I've gathered at some point. See, there's a cat's eye one, there's some crusty beady ones, there's ones with little flowers in. This one, if I remember rightly, this is a proper Swarovski one. I think so. It's got a sterling silver core, that's for certain. So, yes, that's the sort of thing we're going to have a go at making. Okay, and we've got some things to put inside our beads. Now, these here are inspired by the upcoming 2023 jewellery trends. I don't know if any of you follow the jewellery trends, but apparently pearls are very much an in thing this year, as are hearts and some particular colours and so on, which we'll work our way through as we go through this series of beads. The first one I wanted to include, though, was the pearls one. Now, I've got some little pearls here and some other little beads that are like a pearly effect. So we'll be using those in our beads because I thought, well, pearls might be in, but why use them in the obvious traditional ways? Let's have beads full of beads, why not? Anyway, there's those. The colours that are in this year as well are cool blues, sunflower yellows, verdigris type colours too, you know, that greeny colour that forms on metals, older metals. Is it copper? I think it forms on copper, doesn't it? So anyway, we've got here then some sort of cool blues, and then this one isn't verdigris, but it's like a kind of a aqua green, I don't know, emerald green is in as well, and that's kind of, maybe that's emeraldish, don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to work with the trends. The other things that are in are bigger statement jewellery, which, you know, has been around for a while, I know. So we're going to be doing some of those over the upcoming videos, and also things like long dangle earrings, proper statement ones, that's chunky drop earrings, things like that. So we're going to have a go at all of those. The other one I wanted to try for this particular video, though, once we've tackled the little beads, is just putting some metal flakes inside the beads too, and I've got 3 different colours of metal flakes for us to have a play with. So that's it, this video, metal flakes and beads. So for the resin, I will be using what's left of my bottle of Let's Resin ultraviolet curing resin. This is just the normal viscosity one. I'm going to be experimenting more with the new high and low viscosity ones that J Diction have brought out to complement their regular one. Should be trying those as well. But for this particular project, I've got this to use up. As you can see, this bottle has seen better days. I've had to cut the nozzle down once and all sorts. So let's use this one up. What I'm finding the easiest way to put things into my resin and make sure that it doesn't all fill up with bubbles is to actually poke them into the resin first. And then I can make sure I've got it nice and full. So this might take a little while. It's probably easiest if you pull the little gubbins over to the side, the little spike. Oh, they're flying everywhere. Wonder if I can just tip them in. They're going to go everywhere, aren't they? I should have one of my sticky mats under this, really, shouldn't I? There's a rogue bead in there. I want them just all the same in this one. It's a very pretty bead. That's the sort of cool blue that's in this year, in fact. So I might find that, the rest of that one's friends, and do something with those soon. Okay, now just remember, as you fill this up, keep looking and making sure you've got them fairly evenly all round the spike, because of course you're going to end up with pushing the spike to one side if you're not careful, and then it's not going to work terribly well when it comes to putting the core in and adding it to your bracelet. So I'm just going to have a little squish and a poke around really. Could always get one of those little micro brushes and have a bodge around in there. Try to make sure it's kind of all centered up a bit. Not normally a problem if you're just filling it with resin, of course, because it will just find its own center again. But when you're putting solid things around it, just be careful to make sure you've ended up with your little spike back in the middle. In fact, let me get a little micro brush. I'm going to have a little poke around. I'll put you the link for these micro brushes as well down below. They're ever so useful, cheapest things, and they're so useful. Use them for all sorts of random stuff. Right, I'm just making sure this is really full up. It's probably going to get bubbles in it anyway, which I don't really want to happen, but we'll see. Right. Here we go. We're now going to go in with our resin. Just one final check to make sure that's where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to make sure I put a blob and then keep letting it settle. I should probably give it a pull like this. It's going to fill up with bubbles where the beads are, but I think that's going to add to the effect. Going to get my little micro brush, give it a little push here and there. Just want to make sure, there we go, it's sinking down now. Just want to make sure it really sinks down and gets around the little beads. Okay, while that's settling, so I want to let gravity do its thing really. So while that's settling and hopefully getting all in amongst the beads, let's do one that's made up of little pearls. What colour pearls shall we do? I'm thinking, let's go for these silvery ones. So we've got whites and silvers. Now obviously these are bigger, so let's make sure very carefully that we're getting them evenly around the centre spike, because these could really easily push that spike over to one side. Right, well, while that one is settling itself down, just need to make sure that the resin has gone all the way through again. I might need to top these up. What I will do is leave them somewhere where they're not going to get light on them, just to let the resin settle through. This is why I think for this sort of thing that lower viscosity one might be better. It'll sink quicker. Right, so while those are sinking hopefully, tell you what, I'm going to leave this one, I think, because it'll be very much the same. I'm going to move on to look at the flakes. Now with the flakes, I'm going to need to mix up some into the resin directly. I think that is going to be the easiest way to do it. Ooh, nice noise, but we'll see. So there we are. There's a little bit in our pot, and I'm going to go first of all with this coppery colour. Oops. Which seems to want to escape. Now you could poke it into the mould first. We'll try that next if you like. But I wanted to just try one with mixing it actually straight into the resin, because it will break up in the resin, as you can see. So it's making like a coppery, shimmery paste almost. So I want to see if I can poke that into one of these. And then the next one, we'll try it the other way like we've done with the beads. Now my only thought with this is it's quite chunky. So how am I going to get it in? Ah, there we go. That seems to be the way. scrape it on the side like that. You see, so I've got it on my spatula, and then I'm just basically wiping it off. Spatula. Stirry thing. It's my stirry thing. And if I keep doing that, that should go in. Now, if this was a lot more liquidy, the easiest way to do it, I think, would be with a needle tip bottle. Even the end of the ultraviolet curing resin bottles, if I hadn't had to cut that one off. They're fairly thin, actually, so you'd probably get away with just using one of those. But because I've put so much stuff in with this, that ain't gonna work. So I'm just trying to make sure I've pushed it down all the way around. It's very messy. Oh, who knows? Don't know. Gonna get my little brush again. Just go around it. Keep going around it till I make sure it's all. Ah, there we go. Making sure it's all going in. So this is the messy way of doing it. Let's see if the other way is any less messy. Welcome to my messy room. There we go. Just going to keep pushing that in. A bit more ultraviolet on each of them by the look of it. I don't know if you can see this, but it is sinking, which means it's getting down there in between the little beads. Gravity is taking hold. Just keep topping that up. What I don't want is them full of bubbles, really. I don't mind bubbles, but you know, you kind of particularly want the outer surface to be totally clear of bubbles, don't you? I'm just going to grab me another one of these little brushes. Thought I'll zoom you in a little bit, actually, so you can get a bit of a close-up. There we are, of what's going on in this mould. So I don't know if you can see that, but the resin is sinking quite nicely into the moulds. Yeah, there we are, a bit more. Now, this next one, I'm going to try putting the resin in first, then putting some of the flake in. Let's try it that way around. This is me thinking aloud, you're watching again. I've done this sort of thing so many times, and I'm yet to decide which way of doing it I think is the best. So let's keep fiddling, and we'll decide between us, shall we? Right, this one was going with a silver flake. So I've already got a bit of resin in there. So let's see if it's any easier to put the flake in. Would be if it didn't stick to my tweezers. Put the flake in after. So let's see if we can just shove it in like this. It wants to stick to the mould on the outside. Actually, you know what? That is easier. I really think that's easier. A bit more resin. The next one, we'll put the flake in first. Let's get brave, shall we? And put it in first. Just going around the others, topping up as it settles still. Gonna end up with this all over my fingers and everything, can't I? This stuff is so fine. These big pots of flake I've got are great. I've got several different brands. They all seem to be pretty much the same. But you can get these lovely big pots. Now, if you only wanted to do a little bit, then the little tiny pots that you can get for sort of nail art and things like that would be ideal. It's all the same stuff as far as I can tell. But because I am anticipating getting through quite a lot of this, then I got big tubs, and I've got it. You can get it in colours as well. It doesn't all have to be silver and gold. It's like the stuff they do gold leafing with. Right, this next one, while that one's settling, I am going to try to, and I'll stick with the silver just because I've got a load out still. I'm going to try sticking it in before this time, before I put the resin in. And it seems more interested in sticking to the outside of my mould than to going in. And I'm getting in a right mess. What am I doing? This video is going to end up being longer than I intended. But I did want to try the 3 different ways of getting the stuff in there. And I want quite a lot in there as well. I don't want to skimp on this. Look at that, it's all over the blooming mould. Right, I don't know how much has gone in and how much is just stuck around the sides. Anyway, it'll do, it'll do. So I'm just going to top these up. Does leave us one free still. Let's get brave and get the lamp on these then. So here comes the UV lamp. It's my usual little clip on the desk, powerful one, which means that my hands are free to have a cup of tea. Now don't forget, you've put a load of stuff in this. The ultraviolet light might not get all its way through, so we are going to need to give them a quick zap from the other side as well. Right, should we have a go? I think that UV has settled again and it isn't right up to the top. You know what, I'm just going to put a drop more in and then re-cure to be on the safe side. If I can get some to come out of my poor bottle. Really must get some more ordered when I get downstairs. I think what I'm going to do is order the full set from J Diction of the new ones that they brought out. These ones of different viscosities. Is that cured? Yeah, they feel like they've cured. Let's go for it. Just had a couple of beads escape there. That tells me there will be gaps in the outside. Yeah, and you can see that is where air has got trapped. But other than that, that's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is fill that in. Let's have a quick look and see what the plain one looks like, so you can just see this really in action. There you are. That is how simple it would have been if we weren't putting anything fancy in it. Nice little clear one. Right then, let's try the other pearl one, the other little pearly bead one, and I hope that this one dissipated the air better, and yes it did. There we are, isn't that nice? Now obviously I'm going to have to sand that little bit off there before I put the cores in, but that is looking good. I'm just going to put that over and under my lamp to give it a final blast as well. Next one, now this is where we started to get onto the gold flakes and things like that, and that has come out really nice. Again, just a little bit of sanding to do there. I like the fact there's clear bits in it. That's rather funky. Okay, popping that under my lamp as well. I just like to do that, just give them a last few minutes under the lamp. So this one was the flake going in after I put the resin in, and then more resin, and I think that's worked the best. Let's just make sure you're well in shot here. I think that's worked the best. That's nice. And finally, let's have a look at this little guy. This is the one where I put the flake in first and then the resin. Now look, if you don't want as much flake, again, that's rather gorgeous, I think. So just going to pop those back under my lamp for a minute, just leave them there while I clear up, and we'll have a go at putting the cores in. And that's why you want the stickiness and everything really well cleared from them. So first of all, what I'm going to do is attack them with quite a coarse nail file, just to get the worst of it off. And this is just the the surplus where it was, you know, coming into the neck, I suppose that's what you call it, of the mould. So I'm just flattening that down. Now the cores will hide a lot of that. Of course, what you can do is get a finer piece of sandpaper. Here we go, here's a bit of wet and dry. And just do a little bit of that to smooth it off afterwards. Then I tend to give it a good wipe with one of my Wonder Wipes just to get the dust off. If you're left with a really big dull area that the little core isn't going to hide, then obviously it's quite easy to just get a little bit of the UV resin and almost use it like a varnish. Note to self, leave this bottle on its side for a bit. There we are. So I'm just going to get a little paintbrush that I don't mind sacrificing and paint that around a little to put the shine back on it. There we are. What we can do, of course, while it's sticky, is push one of the cores in. And that's how easily they go in. Just bring it under my lamp again. And there we are, we have a bead with a core. Sorted. Now to do the other side, and I would encourage you to use a little bit of glue of some sort, because these little cores can come out. I've had them come out even on shop bought beads. Just make sure you're not clogging up the hole through the middle, because otherwise you're going to end up with not being able to get your chain through it. So here we go, what you can do if you find you need to. You might find you don't need to, but if you do, you can just give them a final coat. Just paint them gently over with your UV resin, just to give them that finishing touch. Entirely optional. Sometimes you'll find you really don't need to do this. But I have been handling them while they were still slightly sticky, so I've ended up with a little bit of a matte finish here and there. So I thought I would do this. Just want to say a big thank you to all of you who've subscribed to my channel. This is all still very new to me, and I've really appreciated your support. Trust me, it means a hell of a lot. It's been a big learning curve, as you can imagine, and the support of all the people who've subscribed and all the people who've popped little comments in for me and so on, it really has been very much appreciated. It's kind of spurred me on to keep going and keep sharing, and I've got loads more ideas to share with you. Don't forget I have got a Facebook page too, links below. If you want to hop on that, share your own work on there, share stuff you've got for sale as well if you want. I really don't mind. Do what you like. It's there to be used. So I'll leave that thought with you. Also, in the comments, do leave me ideas and thoughts and anything you want me to try for you. More than happy to have a go at stuff. In the community tab, which I think is available to all of you who subscribed, you'll find, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a few freebies that I've been giving away as well. So help yourselves. For a lot more freebies like that, though, do go and have a look at my Patreon page. Anybody who would like to join that, again, it's very new, but I am populating it with an awful lot of giveaways, stuff that's actually on sale in my store. So they are, you know, proper significant giveaways too. Right, there we are. Let me zoom you in and you can see what we've got. Let's turn the lamp off. And we'll have a look. so here's the one that was just a clear bead. As you can see, it gives a strange silvery effect through the middle, but that's just where the hole is. There's nothing in there, it's just a clear bead. This one, that's your silver flake. This is the one that I put the flake in after I'd put some of the resin in. Okay, so that's quite a sparkly effect still. This is the one that I put the flake in first, and actually on reflection I think that's my favourite. So if you remember, we just stuffed some flake in and then put the resin in. This one I mixed the flake in with the resin. Again, very nice effect, but it was a bit fiddly to do. I like that there's gaps in it and so on, but I didn't have any bubble issues with any of those. Now these are the two that I poked the beads in. This one is, it's funny, it looks all lumpy and bumpy and it's not. It's quite a weird effect. But that is the one that's the little pearl beads. If you remember, I put them in and then put the resin in. And this is the one that got the little seed beads in. And I have sealed it all with a final coat because I had those couple of little gaps where the bubbles were. Now I think if I did this with a less viscous resin, I wouldn't have had that bubble problem. Just a case of leaving it to stand for longer. So there we go. We have beads. We have beads, we have beads. And they're rather nice, aren't they? Next video I'll be doing will be a good old-fashioned simple one. We're just going to chuck a load of glitter in some of them and see how we get on with that. So thank you for watching, folks. I'll put links to the next video up here in the corner. Giant finger time. Up here in the corner for you to be able to link straight to the next video. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. Then I can let you know quite easily by when there's going to be another video out. If you click the little bell, it'll send you notifications. Thanks, everyone. Bye.